Well, Mark Stein was just on. He made the point that keeping America safe doesn't mean you have to be at war with Russia. But with so many lawmakers determined to make that country an enemy, perhaps a military foe, we may inevitably fall into a second Cold War. Seems like we're getting there quickly. President Ronald Reagan won the first Cold War and brought down the Soviet Union in the process. What can the rest of us learn from that example? As it happens, on the set tonight is Craig Shirley. He's a Reagan biographer. Written another book, a great one, called Reagan Rising, covering the years 76 to 80, just before Reagan came back to become president. Craig Shirley, it's great to see you.
Thank you, Tucker. Good to see you, too.
You've written a lot on this president and on this period, many books on it. Did you ever think that you would grow old enough to see the Democrats pushing for a new Cold War?
No, I didn't. It's a new world, isn't it?
It's really
kind of a new world order, right?
It's kind of a new world order. So the debate in the 80s, of course, the 70s and 80s always was, Democrats are too soft on Russia. That was Reagan's position.
Well, it was demonstrable.
Yes.
They were soft on the Khmer Rouge and Pol Pot, and were soft on arms control and soft on Soviet expansionism.
Right.
They were always soft on the Soviet Union, going back to, you know, George Kennan and the famous excommunique.
So Reagan obviously hated Soviet communism. He said it a lot. How do you feel about the Russians?
Yeah, there was no animosity toward the Russian people, and he really knew, you know, he abhorred the idea of nuclear war.
Yes.
But he was obsessed with defeating the Soviet Union in a Cold War. But he knew that to beat an idea was with a better idea. He was once flying with Frank Donatelli over the Maryland suburbs in Marine One on his way to Andrews Air Force Base, and he was looking idly out the window. Frank thought, and he said, Frank said, "Mr. President, what do you see down there? What are you thinking about?" And he says, "I've got to get Gorbachev to see what we have here, because we have a better idea for governance. We have a better idea for prosperity and freedom and opportunity here than they have there."
So your book is about the years between Reagan's attempt to become the Republican nominee in 76, obviously lost it to Gerry Ford, and then his victory in 1980.
Right.
What did he do that made that possible? What's the lesson of that period?
That's what the book is about, of course, is that he took advantage of every political opportunity that was handed him. And, of course, it was a time of almost a conservative enlightenment was coming into full flower in America in the 1970s, is that we were rejecting the New Deal, we were rejecting the Great Society, and then the issues, the Panama Canal treaties, Prop 13, tax cuts, Soviet expansionism in Afghanistan. The left was being proven wrong at every level. But, you know, you can't win an election just by being against something. You got to be for something. Reagan is evolving as a conservative. So by the in 1964, you remember the speech for Goldwater.
Of course.
It was a great speech. But Reagan is often angry in the speech. He's angry at the anti-war protesters. He's angry at the Great Society. He's angry at LBJ. By 1977, 78, he's now projecting a much more hopeful message, is that the answer is conservative. It's not just anti-liberalism, it's pro-conservatism. And this is what he's doing all through the 1970s. He's evolving as a conservative into a much more optimistic one.
You got to be for something.
Yes,
that's the lesson.
exactly. Yeah, and everything is centered on human freedom, personal, private freedom.
Right, so he had a framework that all of it hung on, and he was for something. Very smart. Craig Shirley, thanks a lot.
You bet, Tucker. Thank you.